pretty clear where we pick up off at. My poor language abilities have not changed since last week. So, the 3 trucks that have pulled up this riverbed, their engines go silent as they park, essentially. 2 of the trucks have just people in the back bed, while the third has a bed full of, well, boxes, crates, barrels, etc. But they do slowly start to dismount, and there's roughly there's 16 people dismounting out of these trucks, all at various levels of armament. Some have rifles slung over their backs, some have shotguns, some armed with actually just melee. But these guys are kitted out in pretty. This is what you'd call tactical gear. Like, it looks like they're trying to be a military. Whether or not they are, it looks like it, considering how,
Does it look like 12 different militaries all sort of awkwardly shoved together?
There is some minor discrepancies, their camo isn't all the same pattern. Some of them have different, they don't all have the same rifle or anything. But they've done their best to at least look like a uniform force here.
If I recall correctly, when we left off, Drew was backing away from the edge of the dam so as not to be immediately visible by all of these potentially angry armed people.
So they're at the bottom of the dam, I assume.
Yes. However, they are kind of dispersing. It looks like about half of them are moving towards the bodies of the other hunters, while the other half are kind of setting up almost a perimeter around. Some are walking towards the maintenance ladder.
Are these friends of any of yours?
No.
Not mine, and if I had to hazard a guess, they're going to be immediately suspicious that we're in the area of some dead bodies.
They appear to be some form of unidentified hunters. Not unsurprisingly, it is difficult to pinpoint a specific group for them, though they appear more military than the previous.
So unless any of you have a burning need to speak to these fellas, might be time to go.
Cherry would lightly nod. Look at Rose, I guess. They probably just go.
Rose has no intention of getting shot today.
Yes.
So we will just wander away slowly, quietly. Away.
Yeah, I join in.
Any particular direction you all want to... Okay, I have to ask, are you all wandering in the same direction, or are you splitting the party into 5 groups or something?
We started split.
I think
they got us together. Let's split again.
I think they would at least try to stay together, because they would figure that if they do find them, it's better to have more than one person.
Drew will be heading away from that ladder that he's so familiar with.
Probably not the same direction as the werewolf, honestly. Stahl?
I think Rook would probably know what he's doing, so I'd probably follow him.
Drew's gone up that ladder at least twice.
Sorry, do you hear me? Or
yes,
we heard you cut out for a moment, and your video appears to be freezing a bunch, but
It's manageable, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, so moving away from the ladder, not the direction of the werewolf. Okay. So as everybody kind of starts to admittedly slink away, because unless someone's going full sprint, I mean, you're probably trying to stay a little quiet. If everybody could give me a perception roll, that'd be good.
Does this perception roll potentially avoid this combat? Like directly?
This combat?
Yes. Well, I mean,
Does it avoid
No.
a combat?
let me be more specific. Does this perception roll directly affect not entering the next immediate combat?
No.
Okay. Then Drew's allowed
There's
to
a
roll.
few
We're
more
safe then.
steps between the results of this roll and fighting something.
Okay, wits and composure. Is there just a perception roll button somewhere?
You'd have to make it yourself.
Unfortunately, I don't think so.
Okay.
You could make
Oh.
it, yeah, but you can just roll
I'll
with
just
composure.
do wits composure. Don't have any bonuses for this. Nice.
Sorry, give me a moment. My page is loading.
Yeah, so I'll just start describing it, because we have 30 people who have succeeded. So, as you start to slink away, you do catch a whiff of something a little peculiar. The smell of almost charred flesh on the wind.
Which direction is the wind facing?
Which direction is the wind coming from exactly?
Yes.
Coming from over the reservoir. So basically to your backs, from your backs now, as you're moving away from the area.
This is a kind of dumb question. And can you give me a cardinal direction, just so I can work off something?
It would be going south. It would be coming from the south, so it would be blowing south to north, roughly. Because because the werewolf went southwest, so you'd be going a different direction, so probably north or north, because, well, east would be down to the hunters. That's roughly.
It would be best to avoid the south at this point. Right? There appears to be charred flesh on that direction.
Is there any sign of smoke rising in that direction?
No, there's no smoke, but there are other things rising. As you gaze off that direction, you see the fish slowly kind of bob up to the surface and float, almost.
Fish are dying?
Getting cooked? Question mark.
The implications of this are
Not me this
concerning.
time.
What'd you say, sir?
This- So you said not me this time.
Processing. No, she doesn't get that one. She doesn't understand that statement. But kill Ted.
But it does appear that the fish are dying, dead or dying.
They look pretty dead. They're not moving.
Part of me wants to put my hand in the water, but I feel like that might burn my hand.
Drew is
Does
not pausing. He's leaving the large group of armed men behind. Fish be damned.
Yeah.
A respectable choice.
The temperature at which fish would die that quickly, especially burning, would imply the water is likely flash boiling.
Does it appear to be very warm in this area?
Temperature hasn't really changed since you've gotten here. It's not like, like jungle warm. It's probably like 60.
And if I put my hand over the water, like a couple inches, does it feel warm there?
No, you wouldn't need a roll for this. So, you know how static electricity kind of feels when you you hover your hand over something very staticky?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're feeling over the water.
The hair on your arm standing up.
I mean, you could use
Whether or not
forces.
you know what static electricity is in the Neolithic era, I don't know what that really entails for you.
He's the storm caller. Of course he knows.
Yes, I know static. That's storm and lightning.
Yeah, it feels kind of tingly.
Like the precursor to lightning. I don't want to get struck by lightning. Let's see, if I use Mage Sight with forces, that should let me see if there's power. Let me check.
Pull up the Mage. I should have just preemptively pulled up the Mage.
Pull up all the books. Some of the books.
I don't have the room for all the books. I'll just close these tabs because we are not running after the hunters to shoot them, hopefully. So I don't need that.
Hopefully.
I can't trust players at the time.
You were prepared just in case.
Yes. You have to be. Alright, so Prime. Or wait, what are you using, sorry? Forces?
Well, it automatically uses both ruling, so it'll be forces and prime.
Okay, so presence of environmental tilts, fire, electricity, and other hazards. The glance a mage can tell if a device is powered. Then basically these things spells.
Although realistically, Kalmir wouldn't
No idea what that
power
means.
Yeah.
But maybe I could tell if there's some sort of energy that shouldn't normally be here.
That is pretty clear of the you would know it as lightning, almost kind of circling near the center of the reservoir.
Concerning. That's just me saying that. That's concerning.
There's, as I have my hand over it, there's power in this water that should not be here. Pull my hand back because I don't want to get shocked.
There are
like thunder in the lake.
Only I was a normal Promethean.
Actually, I need to double check something. How do perception rolls work if you're not using base attributes?
What do you mean?
When you're dealing with like power, finesse, and resistance, do you just roll,
you would just use wits because it would be manipulation plus resistance because it's wit plus composure.
But are you more referring to like the like spirit type stuff, power, finesse?
Yeah.
You would use finesse plus resistance because that's
as much. I don't actually know why I'm rolling this. Never mind. It's gonna succeed, I guarantee it. So I'm just not gonna roll.
That's not fair.
All right.
No, fine. I want to see what it is.
But yeah, so as you sort of step away from the lake, reservoir, lake, whatever, it's the same thing. You can tell that you still have your mage sight up probably as you're backing away. This lightning has kind of stopped circling and is straightening out. As the surface of the water breaks, and what appears to be almost a large serpent made of, well, water, slowly kind of lifts its body out of the lake to look at you. Even
we can all see this, right?
See the... Oh yeah, no, this is quite a large creature. Even from here, you can see the dim glowing kind of at the center of the core of its body.
Can I roll something to see if I have any idea what this would be?
You can, however...
You can give me like a severe negative if you want.
You'd be taking a pretty big penalty because you can tell it's weird, but what is it?
Yeah.
He needs a pretty big penalty.
Yeah, so
yeah.
Go ahead and roll at a -5, I guess? I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. That's still good for me. Don't get me wrong.
So I said he needs a big penalty.
Yeah,
I need a big penalty. The reason I'm fine with I'm fine with big penalties for anything, but I can handle a big penalty. So -5. That's just that means the total modifier is a +2. Okay, that's an exceptional.
Okay.
It is a god of the water.
I mean, that's what Kalmir might think.
Yeah, you probably would.
Yeah. But yeah, so you can't be certain exactly what it is, but it's a snake made of water.
Mm-hmm.
This is an elemental of some sorts, likely spirit.
This appears to be some sort. It is likely that this is some sort of spirit, likely of the shadow. Though there is little explanation for it being here. Though, admittedly, very little about where we are makes very much sense to me.
And it's looking at us, I assume.
Yes, it's not moving towards you, but it has kind of moved moved up out of the water to look towards you. Like it is just kind of sitting in the middle of the lake.
There may be a...
How far distant? Middle of the lake.
Like 50 to 100 meters.
All right.
There may be a tear in the gauntlet nearby, though admittedly, at this point, it hardly matters, or is there being a large spirit in front of us?
Kalmir wants to seek a blessing from the spirit.
You have spirit?
I have one die.
Okay, is this like a spell, or are you just going to try to swim out and say...
I guess first you should probably use Spirit Mage Sight to see if that's correct. I don't think Mage Sight costs you anything to use.
I don't know. I mean, I could still use Spirit while I look it up.
Yeah, so I mean, Mage Sight Spirit reveals the strength of the local gauntlet, detects presence and nature of the resident's condition and other sources of assets, highlights manifested spirits and related phenomena. It's a manifested spirit. It is highlighted quite clearly. And
Okay, I'm curious. Would he think the gauntlet's weird here?
What gauntlet? What's a gauntlet?
yeah,
Exactly.
honestly, you're looking at it and it looks pretty normal.
Yeah, you think it's normal. Now that's the fun thing.
Oh,
He thinks it's normal.
Kalmir looks at it and says, "Oh yeah, nothing out of the ordinary here."
excellent.
Kalmir thinks it's normal.
Just another little god.
Just a normal little thing, you know?
Well, if it must be the local god of this lake, maybe perhaps it can give us some information as to surroundings. Like, where are we? Where am I?
Friends, there's an army at the base of the dam, and they are climbing the dam.
Indeed.
Drew is not stopping.
Drew is gone. Like, he was running at this point. Maybe he looked over his shoulder, saw it once, and nope.
No.
That's a giant snake made out of water. That's really interesting. It does not have a gun, and I'm leaving.
I chase after Drew.
Man, lucky that you aren't rolling anything to avoid combat right now.
Right now, if Drew had to roll to like run across the dam, he would dramatically fail and like roll down the dam straight into the hunters.
Awesome.
So he's not like running, he's like walking with a purpose away from that maintenance ladder.
Cherry is currently at a lack of ideas of what to do. And she looks over to Rose, I guess, and it's just like she mind that Cherry never emotes ever, but you know, just like straight face is, what do you believe is the correct choice of action?
I mean, it's interesting, but what are we gonna do about it right now? It's the middle of the night. There are armed individuals approaching.
That is an accurate assessment.
What a blessing from the lake.
Drew's not stopping you.
I guess Cherry is also probably just going to try and leave with Rose. Because what are we gonna do here? That's a giant god.
He's not so big.
Yeah, you've probably seen it.
That.
So is everyone abandoning Kalmir outside of the reservoir?
You know, this man is just a weird man who showed up. Look, I don't have any connection to him, and I want to keep my touch. I want to keep Rose safe. You know.
It's just a weird man who showed up. Screw him.
Look, between keeping my touchstone safe and keeping a weird man who appears to think this is a good idea safe, who may or may not be magic, it's really not clear. And she doesn't know what Stahl's doing. I don't know what Stahl's doing. But at least one other man is running, so she's gonna follow that man, who's clearly making the correct decision in this case.
I believe.
Yeah, I'm already chasing after Drew.
Yeah, Stahl's running away too.
I have no respect for the gods.
Stahl can't touch him, or it's just a rough situation. So
Pooter, what are you doing?
Yeah, like, do you have a plan you'd like to perform right now? Because otherwise, I'm going to jump back over to Ian for a moment.
You can jump to Ian. Let me think about it.
Okay. So, Vitus, you have dodged this group of armed individuals, hunters presumably, and are heading back to the city. Are you just taking a direct, straight route back? Are you making any pit stops on the way?
It's pretty much a straight back. I've already fed for the night, so I'm capped off and, well, full belly. I'm heading back home, making sure I make it back there before sunrise.
Okay. So the trip back is pretty uneventful until you hit the city proper. Well, actually, give me a perception roll as you start walking through the more urban downtown areas of the city.
Alright, give me one moment. Gotta open up that character sheet. Alright. Plus composure. Charm rolling is the right person.
Yeah, so the streets are active again. People seem to have maybe come back out, not afraid of the wolves that were once running down the streets. Things look business as usual. You're about halfway back to your home through the urban bits of the city when you start catching something out of the corner of your eye, just a glimpse in an alley here and there of a humanoid figure seems to be following you. The only visual you've gotten so far is almost a red, just kind of, I don't want to say it's a red naked person following you, but you've really only seen a red humanoid shape peeking out of the alleys.
Well, since I have the sneaking suspicion I'm being tailed, I am gonna circumnavigate my haven just to confirm if they are following me or just happen to go in the same direction, but I do not want to reveal my location.
Okay. Yeah, so you do some seemingly random loops, and it still seems to be kind of just in the alleys, just out of sight from you. It definitely seems to be following you.
All right. I am actually going to raise my phone up and actually take an image of myself and then send that selfie to Tullus, my ghoul son.
Okay.
Because while Vitus isn't necessarily the most computer savvy, his son does know a thing about computers, and he remembers his son saying something about being able to find somebody via the tags in a photo. So he's hoping it'll work in this area, in this world.
So, I don't want to shoot your idea down, but realistically, there's no GPS, there's no satellites, like...
But then the phones don't work at all.
No, they do, though, that's the thing. Yeah, no, if I'm going that direction, I guess it would still...
He probably wouldn't know what the hell the numbers work. He'd be like, okay, well, that's garbled data, but,
But yeah, so after a couple minutes, your son replies and is like, I think I know where you are. Do you want me to meet you somewhere, or are you staying there?
I'm just gonna make a quick text that being followed, I do not want to lead this guy back to the haven, so I'm kind of stuck unless I approach the guy. I did leave Stahl by himself without really any direction. So that's something that also needs to be dealt with as well.
Okay. Oh, we'll fix your problem first, I think.
With that, Vitus is gonna kind of put up his phone and look directly at the most recent alley that he saw this individual in, and just kind of stare there. If there's anything that he can kind of put his back up against, like the side of a building, he'll go ahead and do so.
Okay. So, you kind of take up your position again, back to a wall, just kind of watching all angles. And it does kind of poke its head out once more. Just its head around the corner. It's probably... I mean, it's down the street. It's about a block away. But you can see the red head. It contrasts quite well against, these, like, gray apartments. It only pokes out for a second before it realizes you're just standing there looking at it, and it quickly ducks back in.
Vitus is actually going to speak up and go, it's rude to stare at people, right? He doesn't really care if there's anybody else in the area that happens to hear him talking, but he is being loud enough to be heard, roughly a block away.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you get no reply from this, taunt, almost. After a bit, your son does show up. I don't know if you gave him a car or something, but...
Motorcycle, yes.
Okay, then, yeah, you hear the engine approaching, you recognize it, it's a motorcycle, it's probably your son. As he does kind of come around the corner and parks.
I just make a quick gesture in the direction that I saw the redhead pop it out last. And then I begin making my way on foot towards that direction as well.
Okay. So, the two of you approach this alley. You turn the corner and, it's not on the ground. It's kind of on a wall, sort of on all fours, grappled to a wall. It is, from here you can tell, it is a red. It's a dark red, almost a brownish red. Its body is it's thin, almost skeletal. And instead of having like flesh or skin, it's a very almost gel-like substance that seems to drip off of its bones, if it even has them. It kind of jerks its head and stares directly at you, and you can see now it doesn't have eyes or anything. It's got eye sockets. It's got a nose. And it's got its mouth kind of permanently... What would normally be like a big toothy grin. It doesn't have teeth, though. As it slowly kind of starts to, slide down the wall.
Is it leaving anything behind when it slides down, like a, for lack of a better word here, a mucus trail, so to speak?
Yeah, it appears to be mostly the same material that whatever it's made out of. It seems to be leaving a trail of itself.
Vitus kind of takes a step back to allow it room to go ahead and stand up and do whatever the hell it wants to do. He is eyeing it very warily. Is this something that I could reasonably roll occult on to try and figure out what this thing might be?
reasonably? Probably not, but I let Cherry roll. So...
And also, would my specialty of undeath count here?
No.
Okay. This thing looked reasonably dead enough, so I thought I'd ask.
Yeah, so I can't just say roll at disadvantage, because we don't have that in this system.
Just whatever dice you want.
I wish we had disadvantage. That was such a simple solution that 5 was.
-2, -5.
We'll do a -3. Just I know it's not the same roll, but Cherry was rolling with like 1,200 dice.
I'm sorry. Cherry's designed to know things. That's what she's built for.
So
sorry.
So intelligence plus occult, correct?
Yes.
I'm not gonna burn a point of willpower for this one. You said -3. Okay.
Okay. So, you've never dealt with these before. But you're aware, unfortunately, of some information pertaining to wolves, being your arch nemesis and whatnot. You're aware of some things that they deal with that sometimes that get involved with vampires. Vampires are very good at unbalancing spirits. They cause a lot of blood. Blood spirits like to follow vampires.
Right. So, going off of that knowledge, Vitus relaxes a little bit. Knowing at least something about spirits, he doubts the spirit wants to harm him just because, well, I'll eventually generate more food for that spirit. But Vitus kind of just stares at it and is confused because he's never actually seen one essentially in the flesh before.
Yeah, you would know enough that spirits don't normally stare back at you like this.
I'm gonna do something incredibly stupid here. I'm actually gonna reach out and try to touch
That's
it.
the spirit.
Gonna try to touch this thing.
Touch the thing.
Okay. You raise
gross.
your arm. Go to. How is he just gonna go poke it or like go pat it on the head?
Kind of like the white glove test. I'm actually gonna drag a finger across it to see if blood actually comes off on my finger, and if it does, I am gonna taste it. Probably the worst idea ever, but I'm doing it.
I shouldn't be surprised.
I guess I didn't expect this to be our first combat. I'll be honest.
Who says we're in combat yet?
I don't think typically spirits like when you eat them. I think that's a big no-no. I think typically that's how you get into spirit combat.
Well, he's just leaving streaks of himself on the wall.
You're gonna need a big sip after that one, Gandhi.
I'm thinking like, I didn't expect that. Okay, yeah, I can plan for a lot of things, all right.
But not me licking the enemy.
I'd like to lick the spirit.
I'd like to do a Slurpee.
Yeah, so surprisingly, it's a very viscous sort of substance that this thing is made of. And it still kind of holds on to most of it, but you do get, I mean, it is almost dripping off of it. Like, some of it does come with your finger. It does kind of tilt its head and is like, what are you, what? It seems almost confused. It doesn't seem like agitated, just confused.
And is it actually blood or?
Maybe smell it first before you taste it.
No, no.
No, just straight to taste. Okay.
Straight in.
It is blood. It's a very strong taste.
Was it like a
How
kin?
How does feeding from other supernaturals without the merit work?
Typically they simply.
It just doesn't provide vitae, usually.
No. It depends on the supernatural. If it would count as like actual blood, then it would count. Then it would just be eating from a mortal generally. Even if it's nothing like a mortal, it was drinking from a mortal generally. Unless it was like pretty much an animal, at which point it would be drinking from an animal. You know. If you don't have,
does spiritual blood count as normal blood?
I think
usually no, but this thing is a blood spirit.
I think blood spirits are weird.
It's a gray area. Spirits are weird. Yeah.
It's your game, so it's
I don't know what you're talking about.
I have like the way that I'd do it, but I'm not the one. I'm not the one in the hot seat. I'm not the one who gets to pick that here.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you how I do it, but
I'm gonna
you're the one
here. It is blood.
Yeah.
If it's a very strong taste. It doesn't taste like anything and anyone you drank from before. It's almost like a congealed taste. It's sort of like you're drinking cold blood, but it doesn't repulse you quite as much. It's like blood jello.
Do some blood jello
but
shots.
It would, if it, like, you can taste the vitae. You're just full.
Yeah. Interesting. I say as I kind of look over at Tolus. Seems to be a spirit of some sort. Not quite sure what it wants, and then I kind of make a more pointed look at it. Or if it can even understand me.
Spirits can only speak first tongue, pretty sure.
But
right? Like that's
okay. Yeah, they can only speak first tongue. However, that leads to new questions. You've led to new questions. Okay, it's up to you to do what you want. But now there's many questions.
I think the book says they normally would speak first tongue, but they could speak the local tongue.
But normally they only speak first tongue.
Right.
But then the natural question is, then I know that it's mostly been hand waved, but we need to ask the question of why we can all speak the same language, you know? And then if that doesn't count for first tongue, why doesn't it count for first tongue?
Because it's a special tongue.
Who knows? But there's a lot of question marks here.
Same rule for high speech.
I'm gonna say, because of the nature of where we are, the spirit probably can speak local languages.
I'm sorry for making you consider this.
It's not your fault.
I'm the one that asked if the spirit could speak to him. I don't know all the. I haven't read every book page to page, like.
Trouble
first tongue is a language.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So you just looked at it. Could you repeat what you said to it? Sorry.
Basically just wondering what it wants, and then just making the comment, I don't know if it can even understand me, though.
A few moments after that, it does kind of speak up. Mouth doesn't move, though, so you're not entirely sure how it's even speaking. Its mouth kind of remains open. It's a very gurgly voice, almost like they're gurgling water and phlegm at the same time. It's quite disgusting, admittedly. It just, and I can't replicate this voice, so.
Aw.
Sorry, I'm bad with voices. But it just replies, "Want blood."
Okay. So I kind of turn back and look at Tullus. I kind of point in the direction that I came from, the dam area, and I'm like, there was some chaos and some carnage that direction. A lot of blood was spilled. Maybe there's more blood that's being spilled over there. I don't necessarily know what that group ended up doing with those armed vehicles that showed up, but there is potential for more blood in that direction.
You speaking to your son or
Both.
Spirit? Okay, you're just kind of openly speaking to the alleyway like you normally do. Okay.
Yes. just assume unless I state otherwise.
Your son, nods, and so I presume that's where your bodyguard was left.
Yes. They had made it to the top of the dam, and a group of individuals showed up, armed, I believe. I left before then.
Okay, I'll go make sure he doesn't do anything unwise. And the spirit's kind of... It doesn't seem too convinced by this, because it just replies with a very, fresh blood.
Well, I am quite stuffed tonight. I had my fill over at the dam. As stated, the people that showed up were armed. It's very likely that there could be fresh blood. I don't know. But for tonight at least, you won't be exsanguinating anybody else.
At this reply, it kind of slowly, it almost climbs the wall backwards, like its legs kind of bend in ways you don't think legs probably should be able to bend, as it crawls back up the wall backwards and continues until it reaches the roofs and seemingly disappears.
And with that, Vitus is gonna make his way back to his haven.
Okay. So, we will jump back to the rest of the party, desperately running away. Except for Kalmir. Have you come up with a master plan?
A master plan? I wouldn't exactly call it master plan, but he would like to speak with or communicate with the god of the lake.
Okay. How do you plan on doing this? You gonna do mage things? You're just gonna shout over the lake, say, "Hello, God, how you doing?"
Well, normally he would probably just shout, but since the group didn't seem to like the new group that came along, let's see, what kind of magey way could I interact with this spirit? I don't want to make it mad, obviously. I'd rather be on the spirit's good side.
Well, luckily you're not the one who will fail anything that might lead to combat, you know? Also, there is an armed force coming up that ladder, but you know.
I don't know what an armed force is.
Man, yeah, I guess.
I mean, I probably have hints. I may have
At least one of those guys has a sword, probably.
Sword? What's a sword?
I guess that's fair.
Back in my day, we only use sharp stick.
Sharp stick and rock, exactly.
Sometimes you tied a rock to a stick.
Tactical long-range rock. It is good.
Well, this would be more for my benefit, but I could maybe cast No Spirit. That's a rank 1 spell. Let's see. I'd only get 1 reach. I will use that for instant cast, because I don't want to sit here for however long it takes to ritually cast it. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3. Dice pool of 4.
Now, it says withstand. I don't know what that means. What does withstand rank mean? Does it resist this? Or...
It probably does, yeah. So withstand, I believe, is dice penalty.
I don't know Mage, so I...
yeah, I'm thinking off the top of my head. Because it's not a resist, it's withstand, so I'm pretty sure that's a dice penalty. Like a defense.
Yeah. So... You're rolling at a -4 then.
That's just a chance die.
It's a rank 4 spirit, I don't know what to tell you.
Nah, for the rank 4! Wow.
I've already given you knowledge now.
I know.
One of the questions.
Still gonna roll. Oh, look at that. Ah! Will I get...
Quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if this is still current because it's a couple years old, but someone says that withstand means you have to adjust up the potency of the spell to affect it. Like, if the withstand is 4, you need a potency 5 to be able to affect it.
Well, is that how it works? Well, let me look up.
I could try roll effing withstand, but I feel like I'm gonna get like 200 results.
Reading it, I just don't remember exactly where it is.
That is why appendixes exist.
Had mine removed. Just kidding.
Withstanding, I see it. Page 114.
There it is.
Yeah, the withstood spells reduce their potency by levels equal to the withstand rating. If this leaves the spell levels in potency, it still counts as an active spell against spell controls.
So I would need to get 5 successes. No, I need to have 5 potency. I don't have enough dice for 5 potency.
Yeah,
Well,
because potency is subtracting a dice, isn't it?
Yeah, 2 dice for 1 per potency.
Yeah, okay.
So that spell fails. Which in itself gives me knowledge.
Yeah, it tells me this is not a pushover spirit.
This is not, yeah, like you said, not a pushover. That knowledge in itself is valuable.
which, with what you remember about local spirits, elementals tend to be pretty big generally, especially ones as formed as this one.
Well, I don't have an offering for it, so I probably can't even deal with it. Like ask for a boon or anything, because I have nothing to offer in return. I don't want to just leave, though. It's a cool spirit. It's rank 4. Come on. I'll be back. Yeah, pretty much, because I am not strong enough to deal with it, and I have nothing to give it. I mean, I could ask it if it wants anything from me, perhaps. But then again, you said it's like 50 meters in.
Yeah, it's a bit of a distance.
The way's in there. Well, Kalmir's gonna look at the spirit, look at where the dam, where the ladder was, back and forth. I don't have time for this. So he's gonna get up and look for the rest of the group and follow them. Mental note as to where this is.
Okay. So as for the rest of the group, how far are you basically going until you're... Are you just gonna run eternally? Like, you gonna run a certain distance, or run until a landmark, or?
Drew would intend to leave the immediate area, like kind of minimum safe distance to not getting overrun by a group of armed people, and then to stop and like check in with everybody because it's kind of late in the night, getting kind of tired.
Yeah, you immediately see Stahl, Cherry, and Rose right behind you, and bringing up the rear is Kalmir. He eventually decided to run as well, it looks like. How is everybody feeling? It is pretty late. It's been up for most of the night.
Trying to think. How would... Cherry looks fine. She looks fine. She would say she's fine.
Probably dead tired.
Yeah, so I don't want to answer for characters here, but Stahl's Promethean, he
I'm
a few
fine.
days without sleep. So he probably looks all right.
Generating his own power.
Nuclear reactor, baby.
How does Kalmir look?
Well, he's used to physical labor, so he's not physically tired yet. Then again, it's been... How long have we been up?
I mean, when did you wake up at?
When did I wake up?
Because it's probably like 3 in the morning or something. Like, it's late. Late enough that the vampire went back home.
If I had to guess, he probably keeps to a natural rhythm of sun up and sun down.
Normally he does, yeah, because what is there to do at night? It's nighttime in the tribe, in the village. There's nothing to do. So just the fact that he's been out here doing things at night is new, so he's excited for that, because it's... Are we still in-ish the city? Or no?
It's pretty rural right now. Like, you basically have been running through woods. Occasionally there's like a dirt road.
Yeah. but I assume it's been brighter than normal in the city area because lights.
Yes, there have been lights. You know, some street lights still do work out here. Most of them, most.
I'm gonna say, yeah, he's pretty sleepy. Hasn't been getting good enough sleep because of all the lights.